there's a couple things coming out of NFL training camp for the Niners. And again, they play next Thursday as their first preseason game.
Can't wait. We got a game this week.
I was going to say, this is what I saw on social media. It pops up every year.
Oh, boy.
We got football every week for the next 6 months.
That's the true Christmas. When I see that and it starts Thursday.
Christmas in August.
Think about what you just said. That is incredible. The king is here. The king is here.
Who plays on Thursday?
I think it's Arizona and Carolina. That's sad that I know. Who got it? Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you do.
Yeah.
I didn't know who was in the Hall of Fame game.
Right.
Yeah, I am looking forward to seeing the Niners play. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of these guys that are
Well, we
training
see
camp.
Bosa. No way. Or is that too soon, or is it everything's changed?
No, you might not see a lot of guys. This was the latest from training camp today. Well, Mike Evans is out today for practice with a quad strain.
That bothers me because lower extremity kept him out last year because you look at his Carfax report, it's immaculate. But last year, his hammy, and the hammy's connected to the, what is it you said, the quad, it's all that intertwined. So that's a concern, but go ahead.
Well, he's an older wide receiver. He's got a lot of mileage.
Give me the young one, Stribling, who's been catching everything.
He had a hammy, I think, over the weekend, too.
Man.
But that's what also plagues guys at this stage of the year. It's a lot of soft tissue stuff because they're trying to get their body calloused, ready for camp.
See, I look at it a different way. You had all offseason to kind of do it your way, Frank Sinatra. Train, stay in shape, because they don't do what they used to do back in the 70s, Evan, get guts and need to lose 20, 30 pounds, guys, have second jobs. All the money that you get now in this nutrition, and that Ricky Pearsall always was a victim of that. Stoney would laugh at me when we'd hear hammy or something with Ricky, and I'm like, you've been off all season. How is the soft tissue already a problem?
Well, our guy, Dr. Narab Panja, put out something on social media, because I also, Was it Emmanuel Acho that was asking why they didn't try and basically surgically repair the PCL?
Acho's changing. I know he's got a different job. I love him, but he's changed a little bit. But yeah, he came at him.
Well, I think that's a fair question, but the doc was saying that, players don't want to go under the knife. And so they tried to do everything they could, and they eventually realized that the knife was the only option because it got aggravated last week in training camp. So Ricky Pearsall is going to miss the season.
But had the Niners known, because I don't care what the player wants, obviously that means something, but you're our prized possession. If they would have did the surgery, would he be better off now? Would he be missing the whole season? Would he only be missing a few select games? Or I don't know, but it's kind of like, okay, you did that, and then it blew up in your face.
And by the way, we'll be keeping you up to date on any future moves that the San Francisco Giants make. It is MLB trade deadline day, 3 o'clock, so about 2.5 hours left between now and them being able to make one final, maybe multiple moves. They've traded Tyler Mahle. They've traded Luis Arias. They have traded Robbie Ray for a horde of primarily pitching prospects. Number 4, number 9 from the Padres in the Ray deal, and then number 4 in the Arias deal with the Phillies. I think... And we talked about it last week, like the theme of their offseason, it dates back to last year. The theme of last year was injuries. And my biggest fear for the Niners is that it's not going to go away. And it's not going away because they've had some injury-prone talent, in a guy like Ricky Pearsall. And they went out and acquired aging guys who have had a history of injury, namely Mike Evans and Christian Kirk.
Both out, right? Well,
so in order to try and do something about it, they signed Deebo Samuel, which I think is a move that's nostalgic. And look, he's going to play. But like to me, if Deebo Samuel's coming in, and I don't know about Stribling, I'm assuming that the hamstring is just a blip on the radar.
Let's be proactive,
but if Deebo Samuel's coming in and he's going to take reps and opportunities away from DeJon Stribling, then that's something that would bother me.
That is more than fair, and I got to give kudos to our guy Willard because I was listening to him and Dibs Friday, and I'm paraphrasing, Evan, but Willard was like, you know what? I have no problem with Deebo coming back, and this hit me, and I'm driving in traffic, as long as it's not in the same role that he had before, but I think, okay, Will, I hear that, and I agree with it, but what if this Stribling thing is, ends up being more than we think it is? What if all of a sudden last year's Mike Evans is this year's then it's not even Deebo's fault. It's just he's put in a position to be your number 1 or 2 because the guys that you wanted not to take reps from aren't available. And that's why I'm having fun. But I hope this is just, precautionary and, guys aren't going to miss time. But you brought in Kirk, and I'm thinking, yeah, it's a hammy. No biggie here. But damn, Evan, if we want to keep it real, your coach is hurt. Like, forget, thank God he's okay. But the bottom line is, his availability for week 1 is up in jeopardy. And I know he didn't get it. It was a car accident, but it's a head scratcher as to when will the injury things just quiet down over there on 49ers way.
Well, they won't. And it's because their best players are all old. It's, I understand what they're trying to do. I think they're trying to piece together a lot of guys that could give them a shot to compete for a year without risking anything. They didn't give Mike Evans a long-term deal. Christian Kirk's on a 1-year. Deebo's brought back, I think, for $7 million. They don't owe these guys a ton of money, but they're also what I find it hard to believe that this team is going to be all of a sudden taking the next step. And I think that's what we talked to Eric Branch last week from the Chronicle about it. It's not that people weren't believing that they could be good last year, but there was a lot about that season that seemed phony, might be too strong.
Right, I got you. Because they didn't control
too
who they
good to
played.
be true.
Wow. So that's where I'm at with the Niners this year. And again, to that point, I'm being proactive. So you're telling me, and you always keep it 100, you're telling me Kittle's coming back, Bosa's coming back, Warner's coming back, and we'll just start with those 3. And they're not going to be able to add to the 12 wins they had last season? Or am I being a football simpleton and just bypassing what you just talked about? Not too good. Like the too good to be true is because they had what we deem a soft schedule. So I'd be a fool for 12 to be my number and think they could improve on. With a lot of that 12 was had without some stewards of this team. And now those guys coming back, if they're even remotely close to what they were, how can't that 12 be greater? Or are you going to hit me with, and I understand, the schedule was as soft as charming.
Well, and Ian Rappaport's reporting that Mike Evans has a very minor quad strain. Okay. So it seems like he's out of practice today more as a kind of precautionary tale. And I think that's honestly how it's going to be for much of training camp and preseason. If there's anything that's bugging or nagging one of these veterans, like a McCaffrey or a Trent Williams, Mike Evans, like they're just going to shut him down for the day because there's no reason in getting who?
McCaffrey, which is a good thing.
Oh, you didn't hear McCaffrey's name?
No, what are you about to tell me?
McCaffrey was involved in something over the weekend.
Oh, that I saw.
Yeah. Your boy Dre Greenlaw is taking cheap shots in camp is what he's doing.
What do you make of that?
I don't like it.
Not your own, Dre.
Which, by the way,
Dre gave him love.
It's the most Dre Greenlaw thing I've ever heard.
No doubt about it. Ball accounts, they say he's flying around. I was telling Devon I was worried about Greenlaw just because Denver didn't work out. But he's got a fondness, and it goes both ways. The Niners love him, and he loves the Niners, and he knows his system. But, Evan, what did you make of, go at the guy? You know what I mean? You don't hard foul Curry in training camp.
Well, that's who Dre Greenlaw is, and I'm not saying he's dirty, but, you brought him in to compete, and he doesn't care if that's the third-round pick, Kalen Black, who, by the way, is hurt. That one actually is probably more concerning to me than anything else, the fact that he's a third-round pick for the Niners as a running back, and he's hurt. But Dre Greenlaw's brought him to go after guys. So, and for those who didn't catch it, training camp over the weekend, I think it was their first padded practice.
Yes, you're right.
And after the whistle, went a little low. McCaffrey got up, threw the ball at him.
Like, you can't
Guys
do
started
that.
John.
Yeah, you can't. Like, I'm Team McCaffrey on that. Evan, don't go low, especially with us and what's the conspiracy theory thing they label it as that they got on the forgive us.
The substation.
Yeah. Not the bar station, the substation. And it seems like it's continuing when guys hurt, nothing to see here yet. But, Ev, don't go low on the man, though.
So are we going to say that Mike Evans got hurt because of the substation?
No, I'm not.
That Black is already hurt because of the substation?
Not at all.
We got to stop that, man.
It's a part of my brain. It ain't that big, but it's a little of that, like, it's just bad luck. But it ain't bad luck yet because, like you said, it's precautionary. But I'm being real. I don't like the going low on your dude. And to the point, McCaffrey didn't like it, and he threw the ball at him.
Yeah.
Like, Dre, we got it, but come on now. We know you're a beast. Come on now.
It's unnecessary, but that's but also, like, those are the stories that the Niners have to be. The reason why we're going to be talking about those sort of things is because the Niners right now, they're a brittle team. They're a brittle squad. They're older. They have a ton of mileage on them, and they have guys in a past with a history of injuries. I mean, McCaffrey's gone through it. Nick Bosa's coming off the ACL. Hell, Fred Warner went through it last year. And you could call it bad luck, but I think the more that those injuries stack up over the course of time, you're more likely to get re-injured.
Man.
And Ricky Pearsall, unfortunately, that's just his body failing him, but it's like they're a team right now that has a lot of players that all need to be on the field at the same time, and there's no guarantee that at their age they're going to play a full season.
It's real, and it's their reality right now. So Devon and I, Evan, you didn't ask, we talked about just how important Kyle was, and you know, I've criticized Kyle because I feel like he should have a damn Super Bowl ring, and they should. John, we'll get into Parag. I hadn't even asked you what you thought of him being gone. But the bottom line is there was some sound I believe Kenny had. Cowherd was talking about Kyle being being as important to the Niners as some of these star players to other teams. And I know you might laugh and scoff at me, Evan. I believe that to be true.
Well, do you want to hear it?
Oh, man, come on.
All right, so this is from the Volume Network. I believe this is John Middlecoff talking with Colin Cowherd about Kyle Shanahan and his importance.
It's interesting with the 49ers is that Kyle is so respected that it sort of bulldozes any mistakes or missteps in his life. You're very close to the Niners. What do you forecast?
Kyle Shanahan is the most important guy in the organization. They went to Philly last year and won a playoff game without George Kittle, without Fred Warner, without Nick Bosa. If they got Kyle Shanahan, they're going to be okay. I think actually his parallel might be a little Sean Payton and his dad. They are tough. Kyle, to me, is the equivalent of like an NBA star. He's that important. Like if you got Jokic, your floor is still pretty high. Or LeBron in his prime, or Curry. That's what Kyle is. It's pretty rare. It doesn't really exist in the NFL. I think if they just had a notch below him, it could have unraveled multiple times.
Yeah, John Middlecoff, formerly worked at 95.7 The Game here.
Yeah, he did.
In middays. You think that's a little too strong?
I do.
I will say this, again, about Devon and I, our conversation Friday. Evan, I'm really looking at the availability of one Kyle Shanahan for the outcome of that game. And you could tell me that might be too strong. Like, hopefully I'm wrong and he's back and there's nothing to see here. But to Middlecoff's point, I get what he's putting down. Just from everything that I want or I don't think Tony Vitello possesses or represents, Kyle is all in. And I think that means something. The respect thing, we know it's there, but just calling the offense and the plays. And if you're telling me Forster, who, right now is taking over, and I'm not hating on him, but he's no Kyle. I got to believe last year's the Niners' ability to win 12 games, get to that last game of the season for the number one seed in the NFC, lose that, then still go win a road playoff game. I can't express to you, partner, how much of that credit and pie I give to Kyle. Is that unfair?
No, I think Kyle Shanahan is incredibly valuable. I wouldn't compare him to a player, especially a player like Steph Curry or
But you said
Jokic,
incredibly, so that's high already. Maybe we're doing too much.
Well, last year he was the most valuable head coach in football. I know that his team did not make it to the Super Bowl. I know that Mike McDonald hoisted the Lombardi Trophy on his field. Levi's, but there was no head coach in the NFL. You can argue to me that would have done with that roster and the amount of injuries that they sustained what Kyle Shanahan did. So
and Mac Jones at the quarterback position when I was like, and then Mac people were clamoring for Mac.
Yeah, but I think, I wouldn't compare him to a player, but what do you give me for this? Kyle Shanahan he's the closest thing to a great college coach we have in the NFL.
Break that down a little more for your boy.
He has his fingerprints on everything.
I got you. You broke it.
He's in charge of the recruiting essentially because he has final say on the roster. He's involved in the draft process. He's involved with trades. Apparently, he could go save a guy like Ayuk from being traded. He could run to the GM's office and get that done. And then, obviously, as a play caller, he has his fingerprints on the game plan itself. Like, Kyle Shanahan does everything for the 49ers in the way that a Nick Saban did everything for Alabama, Dabo Swinney for Clemson, whoever your favorite college coach is. The difference is he hasn't won a Super Bowl, but that's why I think his value is as high as it is. It's because he does so much for the Niners.
It's real. I can't sit here in front. And I'm not going to say Vrabel, because what he did with New England was impressive, is all outdoors, getting them to the Super Bowl. But I'll tell you this, there's three right now. Andy Reid, McVay, and Kyle Shanahan, man. And those are my three. And I got Kyle, just because we're here and we cover them, but I'm being fair. Like, those are the three to me. But if you ask me and you hadn't, what's your biggest concern for the Niners outside of injuries coming into the year? I would be lying because I would tell you, one, I can't answer that question, but I got to start with Brandon Ayuk, that whole debacle and situation that happened. And when it was all said and done, if you thought the Niners won or lost by saving bread, the bottom line is you stop getting return on that position on what you envisioned Ayuk of being. Okay, you move forward, no harm, no foul. We draft Ricky Pearsall. And after the news over the weekend that he is going to be out with the PCL injury and may never, most likely, blossom into what you want him to be and what you've had to endure on his watch with him being dynamic, laying on the ground. We don't know if he can go, kind of the Porzingis. This hurts. And then now you're dependent on Deebo Samuel. I'm going Maxwell, a reunion. Okay, you got a reunion. And then also a guy that missed almost 8 games with a hamstring issue. I am really just locked in on this wide receiver position for the Niners to even think, can the great Kyle Shanahan help overcome what I deem, Evan, bad luck, bad drafting, however you put it. I mean, they are like they've been dealt a bad hand when it comes to the WR position for the Niners.
But how much of that is their fault? That would be my follow-up question.
I'm going to say a lot.
How much are they responsible for putting themselves in this position?
A lot.
Because I know that Ayuk has gone off the deep end, but you had a chance to trade him. You chose not to. And you botched that. You tried to prepare for the impending of Deebo Samuel leaving. Okay. Right? That was Ricky Pearsall. That hasn't worked out. So Stribling is almost in a position where he has to work. He has to pan out, and he's got to help you immediately.
Could I make a case that, and time will tell, that this team could possibly miss 15 Jawan Jennings? Like, is that on the board? Have you had that thought, or are you like, "Goo, come on, nah"?
Well, yeah, but he was going to make too much money for you to bring him back, and that's because you paid your quarterback, and you decided you'd rather pay Mike Evans that money, which I completely understand. I'd rather have Mike Evans than Jawan Jennings. But you can't guarantee me that Mike Evans is going to play 17 games.
And that's the part, and I'm not overreacting to it's a quad. You're right. Stribling, he's young, but he's got the hammy. Christian Kirk's got the hammy. But I'm like, it's not a concern until it is, right, E? So you got a game Thursday, game this weekend. Was it Friday?
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday. So it starts then, but if preseason's going to be one of those, we got everybody in bubble wrap, then it's like, man, you just hope this team doesn't have to endure or go through what they did last year. And I know it's football goo, things happen, but nobody can fight me on this. It just feels like it hasn't happened as much to other teams as it has to the Niners, to their mainstays.